Today we're diving into one of the most talked about questions in the Western drama world: is 1923 really over for good? I know many of you have been buzzing about this for weeks now, and I'm here to break it down in every little detail, so stick with me because this is going to be one wild ride. Let's start with some background. For those of you who might need a quick refresher, before the release of 1923 Season 2, Paramount had already started to change the language around the story. Originally, the idea was to build a two-season journey. Taylor Sheridan's vision for this prequel was to follow the lives of Jacob, played by Harrison Ford, and Cara Dutton, portrayed by the legendary Helen Mirren, as they carried forward the legacy of those who first settled Paradise Valley way back in 1883. This idea was something that truly resonated with fans because it connected the dots between the past and the future of the Dutton family saga. But here's where it gets interesting. Just before the premiere, Paramount stopped calling this the second and final season and began treating the finale, A Dream and a Memory, as a regular season finale. Now, if you're a fan like me, you're thinking, why would they do that? It almost feels like they're trying to pull a Yellowstone move on us. I mean, who wouldn't want more stories from a world as rich as this one? Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Ever since Kevin Costner, a major part of the Yellowstone family, left before the controversial second half of Yellowstone Season 5, Paramount has been making a huge effort to keep us engaged. They're doing everything they can to ensure we don't jump ship and cancel our subscriptions. So, with Yellowstone's clear series finale, Life is a Promise, only being labeled as a season finale, there's a sense that the Dutton family's story is far from over. And guess what? The same tactic might be at work with 1923. I know many of you have strong feelings about this. Let's break it down even further. Anyone who's seen the supersized finale, you know, the one that felt like it was ripped right from the same dramatic cloth as Yellowstone's best moments, you can't help but notice the weight it carries. The finale left us with a mix of feelings and unanswered questions. Even though it seemed like a complete send-off for a lot of characters, the network clearly left some doors ajar. We're talking about Spencer Dutton, played by Brandon Sklenar, Teonna Rainwater, portrayed by Amina Nieves, and even Elizabeth Dutton, who left Montana for good. I know it's hard to see how A Dream and a Memory could really be the final chapter for the saga. You might be asking, is Paramount just trying to keep us hooked so we continue to pay for our Paramount subscriptions? Well, that might be one reason, but there's also the possibility that they want to keep the Yellowstone narrative alive for future shows. After all, with all those spin-offs and sequels that have spun off the flagship series, there's no shortage of opportunities to explore more aspects of this rich universe. And if you ask me, I personally find that idea super exciting. Now let's consider Taylor Sheridan's role in all of this. In the penultimate chapter of 1923's second season, he made a bold move by killing off most of his supporting cast. He left us with a finale that not only dismissed many characters but also set up a world where only a handful of the central figures remain. Think about it, 8 characters, plus even another important one when you include Elizabeth Dutton's departure, are now off the board. What does that mean for the story? Well, it feels like the ending is very deliberate, almost as if Sheridan had planned every moment to wrap up the era. The only survivors we have are Jacob, Cara, Spencer, and Teonna. Even though a few ranch hands and the ever-resilient foreman Zane Davis, along with his family, are still around, the fast-forward to the afterlife at the very end of the season makes you feel that the show has reached its natural conclusion. I know some of you are probably wondering, what in the world could a third season of 1923 possibly explore? Let's be honest. The most we might see is Spencer trying to adjust back to ranch life or learning how to be a father. I mean, there are so many directions the story could have taken, but when you look at the narrative, it becomes clear that 1923 was meant to be a chapter that ended as the story moved closer to 1924. In fact, that very end date seems to have been chosen on purpose to signal that the era of 1923 had come to a natural close. But then, what about that tantalizing spin-off called 1944? Many fans have speculated that this new series could continue the narrative left behind in 1923 but without its main leads. Let's dig into that for a moment. Imagine a world where Jacob and Cara are no longer around because they're already deceased by that point. That leaves us to wonder about the fate of Spencer and Teonna. We know for sure that Spencer lived another 45 years after Alex Dutton's dramatic death, which happened in 1924. And while Teonna's future isn't as clear, we do know that she eventually makes her way back to her home at the Broken Rock Indian Reservation. Now, if the story of 1944 focuses on Spencer's sons or even the child he had with the widow, it could very well end up being more of a sequel to 1923 than a continuation of the same timeline. The idea that Spencer could appear in 1944 is something that really stokes the fires of speculation. On the one hand, if you're like me, you're wondering if the series could instead embrace another era altogether. The title 1923 speaks to a very distinct period in American history, and moving forward might mean losing some of that raw, gritty edge. But on the other hand, if Paramount and Taylor Sheridan decide to rework the timeline and maybe even change the numbers in the title, it could allow them to bring Spencer back into the fold for just a little bit longer. That said, for many fans, A Dream and a Memory feels as final as it can get, much like the ending of 1883. And if that is the case, then no amount of rebranding can change the fact that 1923's story really did reach its conclusion. Now, I want to take a step back and share what all of this means for us as fans. The way these stories are crafted isn't just about entertainment, it's about emotion, identity, and community. We have a shared love for these characters, and we connect with their struggles, their triumphs, and their losses. When a show like 1923 wraps up its story in such a powerful, and at times, gut-wrenching way, it leaves a mark on us. It's like saying goodbye to family members you never met in real life but whose journeys you followed with every ounce of your heart. And while some may feel a bit of sadness knowing that one chapter has closed, there is also hope in knowing that the world of the Duttons is far from finished. The call to action here is clear: let's keep the conversation alive. Whether it's discussing the legacy of the show on social media or joining communities where we share our theories and emotions, our voices matter. We are not just viewers, we are a community with a shared identity, a collective memory of the stories that have touched us so deeply. I also want to remind you all to share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about the finale of 1923? Do you believe that we might get more from this universe, or is it time to say a final farewell? I truly want to hear your perspective because every opinion counts in this vibrant community. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss any updates or deep dives like this one. Looking ahead, it's important to remember that even if 1923 has drawn its final curtain, the legacy it leaves behind continues to inspire us. The emotionally impactful moments, the clear story arc, and the visual appeal of the series have all contributed to a memorable experience that will stay with us for years. And while new shows like 1944 might emerge, they will always be built on the foundation laid by these earlier chapters. It's like watching your favorite book series come to a heartfelt conclusion, and then seeing a new story that picks up right where the old one left off. I know that for many of you, these discussions go beyond just a TV show. They touch on real life. We all have moments when we face endings, whether it's saying goodbye to a friend, a phase in life, or a place we once called home. The way these stories portray loss, change, and the passage of time makes them relatable on a very deep, human level. It's not just about the Duttons or the historical setting, it's about the way we experience life's transitions, the bittersweet moments that remind us that endings can also be new beginnings. And honestly, isn't that what makes life so interesting? Just like the final chapters of our favorite series, our lives are filled with moments of suspense, surprise, and sometimes, heartbreak. But through all of that, we learn and grow. We come together as a community to support one another, and we find comfort in knowing that no matter how many chapters end, there's always the promise of a new story waiting to be told. That's the magic of storytelling. Speaking of storytelling, let's circle back to what we all want from our shows. We want a narrative that is emotionally driven, one that connects us with the characters and their journeys. We want that clear story arc that makes every twist and turn feel earned. And we crave the visual appeal that only a well-crafted period piece can deliver: the dust, the land, the raw beauty of a bygone era. 1923 managed to deliver all of that, and even if it's over, its influence will continue to shape the way we tell stories. I want you to think back to the moments in the finale that hit you the hardest. For me, it was watching the legacy of the Dutton family come full circle, feeling the weight of all those sacrifices that had been made along the way. It was a moment filled with bittersweet triumph, where the end of one story set the stage for another. That kind of emotion is what keeps us coming back for more, what drives us to explore every angle and every hidden detail in the narrative. And while it may seem that the story of 1923 has reached its end, I truly believe that the spirit of the show is just beginning to live on. Now, let's talk a bit more about the idea that Paramount might be trying to extend the life of 1923. I know some of you are skeptical. It might feel like the network is holding on to this universe just to keep us subscribed. And sure, when you see all those spin-offs and follow-up shows, it's hard not to wonder if it's all just a clever strategy to keep us engaged. But here's another perspective: perhaps they see value in nurturing a universe that resonates so deeply with its audience. After all, in times like these, What better way is there to bring people together than through stories that capture our hearts and minds? The idea of continuing the narrative with a series like 1944 is both exciting and a little heartbreaking. Exciting because it opens up new possibilities and fresh storylines, but heartbreaking because it means letting go of the characters we've come to know so well. Think about it, Jacob and Cara have already made their mark, and while their time with us may have been limited, their legacy lives on in every frame of the story. And then there's Spencer, whose journey isn't quite finished yet. We all wonder what his next chapter will hold. Will we see him face new challenges? Will he finally find a sense of peace after all the turmoil he's endured? These are the kinds of questions that keep us awake at night, fueling endless discussions and debates in our community. It's also interesting to consider the cultural impact of a show like 1923. For many fans, this isn't just a TV series, it's a part of our shared identity. We come together to celebrate its triumphs, to grieve its losses, and to relive the moments that defined it. That kind of community is rare, and it's something that Paramount seems to cherish as well. The network's decision to leave certain narrative threads open-ended is a testament to the fact that they value our connection to the story. They want us to be part of the conversation, to engage with the characters, and to imagine what might happen next. Before I wrap up, I really want to emphasize how important it is to embrace these moments of storytelling in our own lives. Whether it's a TV show that leaves us in awe, a book that moves us to tears, or even a conversation that sparks a new idea, every story has the power to shape us. 1923 gave us a story that was emotionally impactful, a narrative that spoke to the core of what it means to be human. And while its seasons may have come to an end, the lessons we've learned from it will stay with us forever. So here's my call to action: join me in celebrating the legacy of 1923. Let's keep the conversation going. Share your favorite moments, your theories about what might come next, and your personal reflections on what this series meant to you. Reach out to friends, join online forums, and be part of a community that understands the power of a great story. As we finish today's discussion, I want you all to remember that endings are just new beginnings in disguise. The world of the Duttons may have taken its final bow in 1923, but every ending paves the way for another story to unfold. And while it might feel like we're saying goodbye to something we love, we can also welcome the promise of more adventures, more drama, and more passion in the future. Thank you for sticking with me through this deep dive. I truly appreciate every comment, every share, and every moment you spend here as part of this amazing community. Let's continue to support each other and keep our love for storytelling alive. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with all your friends who are as crazy about Western dramas as we are. Remember, the legacy of 1923 is not just in the show itself but in the hearts of everyone who watched it. It has united us with its emotionally driven content, its clear story arc, and its unforgettable visuals. And as we move forward, let's honor that by staying engaged, by continuing to discuss every twist and turn, and by always asking the tough questions like, is 1923 really over for good? I hope you feel as connected to this journey as I do. Let's keep our eyes and hearts open for what the future holds. Until next time, keep the conversation going, keep your passion alive, and remember that every end is just a new beginning waiting to be written. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this community, and for sharing your thoughts and feelings on a story that has touched us all. Stay safe, be kind, and I'll see you in the next video.